guys, you are welcome to 16 Days, 16 Voices. So in this episode, we are going to be looking at someone who turned her pain into power, the activism of a survivor who is now an author. Ladies and gentlemen, right here with me is a survivor and an author, Rachel MFA Markham.
Thank you
That's
for
the name,
having
right?
me.
Markham.
Yes.
I said it right.
Yeah.
How are you, Rachel?
I'm doing good.
It's nice to have you here.
It's a pleasure.
It's nice to have you here, and it's different from being on Instagram, but right now we're on a podcast.
Yes.
And I've followed you for so long. You know, I've followed your story and everything that you do, and I must say that you are doing well. Why do you think it was important for you to turn your pain into activism?
Well, one of the first things that I noticed straight away from sharing my story is that so many people would tell me, oh, I've had an experience too. And I saw that it made them feel heard and seen, and it made them feel like they had a safe space. So I wanted to continue to create an environment where people feel comfortable coming forward about their experiences.
Right. So survivors actually carry a pain of silence. What gave you the courage to actually speak out, and not just speak out, but speak out to the public? You're not afraid to talk about, what you went through.
Well, I know that, first of all, I'm not alone. There are so many people. There are survivors that came forward before me that encouraged me to come forward myself. And I would say, as I always say, growing up, I had people around me that were very outspoken, as in if they didn't like something, they'll say it. So I kind of grew up in an environment where people are expressive. So I wouldn't really say that it was a difficulty for me coming forward. It's more of normalcy for me that, when something is not okay and something has happened to you and you have a feeling, it's good to bring it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So basically, when you look at activism, in the public figure, in the public's eye, it is actually rooted in private scars. People know you're angry about something that has happened before. What part of the personal experience led you to say, you know what, I need to speak about this every day. I will throw it to you, whether you want to hear it or not.
Well, like I wrote in my book, I shared a story of losing a friend and her brother basically taking advantage of her passing and using it as an opportunity to assault me. And I have experienced assault. I've experienced child rape. I've been inappropriately touched by teachers, and I've had countless other experiences. But when this happened, it definitely shook me to my core. And I understand too, I was younger when some of those things happened. So I didn't really have the knowledge and the understanding for it to impact me the way it did when I was older and had some of these experiences. So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, come on, people always want to blame us, what were you wearing? What were you doing there? All this stuff. And it's like, I was just trying to be kind to somebody. We were both grieving a loss, and I'm trying to be kind to her family, and this is what happens to me. I absolutely have to say something, because I'll be damned if you think you're using your sister's death as an excuse to assault me, and I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. No way.
So would you say writing was a form of healing for you?
Yes, it was a great form of healing for me. And
you're Ghanaian?
Yes.
And what did people say?
Well, I have heard a mixture of things. I've heard all the blaming, oh, maybe it was something you were wearing, or, you were being too friendly, which never makes sense to me, because we all have friends. So are we supposed to be rude to people that we assume are our friends? Yeah. It doesn't work like that. I've heard everything that you can think of and imagine. And I've also had a lot of supportive people too. So it's been a mixture.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did your parents say?
So my parents, straight away, they knew that it was like intentional. They felt like it was even premeditated, and I agree. Especially looking back, I definitely think it was a premeditated thing. And they were also very supportive, and they also explained that, this is how people behave, unfortunately, and that, to some, it's a way of showing interest, Yeah. It's a way of showing interest. So I had that conversation with them, and I was able to be vulnerable around them, which I know many survivors don't have.
Right. So talking about vulnerability, is it possible to share some of the things that you went through?
Okay, so one of the things I went through, like I said, I experienced rape as a child.
How old were you, if you don't mind?
I was 5 years old, and it was repeated for some time. So it was not just one singular encounter. He was doing it repeatedly, under everyone's nose. So, yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Unfortunately, it's the reality of life.
Are you okay?
Yes, I am now. I am now.
Okay.
I am now.
Wow. And what did your parents do?
So the person, first of all, I didn't tell them when I was small. It was when I got older, because I didn't even know or understand what had happened to me. So like I said in the book, it's not until like I was in class, class 6 one day, and then we're talking about rape and molestation during, I think, citizenship education. I think it became social studies. I don't know what it is now. But then we were having the conversation, and that's when I realized that, oh my gosh.
This person was doing
this
was rape.
Exactly. It was repeated. So there are instances that I remember so vividly, places he took me to, things that happened. Yes.
Have you confronted him?
No, he is thankfully not in my life. And it's hard for any parent, to hear that something like this has happened to your child, because, the first thing they'll do is to blame themselves, and that's the first thing society would do. But I'm really different when it comes to parents, because I do feel like parents should be given grace, because you cannot be with your child 24/7 unless, of course, you're irresponsible, or you're a stay-at-home parent. And this is the same society that will get at people for being a stay-at-home mother. Why are you depending on the man? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? But if people want parenting to be done the right way, I do think that, somebody has to be home. And even if someone is home,
you can never know what
exactly, because you could be in the bedroom and someone like a house help or someone will go and take your child to a corner somewhere in the house, a blind spot somewhere in the house, and you'll never know.
So that means you agree now that's why it's important to teach children body autonomy from very young.
Exactly.
Tell
And
them, this is your breast, this is your vagina, and this is your penis.
Exactly.
So imagine that was done earlier with you. I'm sure you would have been able to say, Mom, he touched my vagina.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sorry.
Thank you.
And what I don't understand is the strength that you have in speaking about it, because it did something to me. Do you understand? I just felt some type of way hearing this, and it's not just once, it's repeated. But look at you, the strength that you have talking about it. And your eye is not even welling up with tears, because mine was actually doing that. Wow.
So actually, especially with the situation I wrote about in the book, I cried for days on end in a row. And I couldn't even understand it myself, because I used to think that, but I've been through these even worse things, when I was younger. Why does this hurt so much? But it's because now I have awareness, I have knowledge, and
exactly what happened when you were younger.
Exactly.
And now it seems like it's happening again as you're a bit older.
Exactly. So it's like all the emotions compounded into one moment, and I was a wreck. So I've actually been through that stage of my life where I wasn't this strong. I was crying, almost every morning, waking up with anxiety, and having changes in my mood, snapping at my loved ones, and things like that. I've been through that, and I think that's why I seem so grounded now, but I've been through it.
Right. Do you think it's every survivor has the responsibility to speak out?
No, because some people, admittedly and understandably so, are not comfortable coming forward. And some people are able to deal with things in their own way, whereas with other people, it gnaws at you. So you feel like the only thing you can do to give yourself release is to come forward. But a lot of people also find peace in silence, and I support them, and I still recognize them as survivors because they are.
Right. Yeah. So survivors who actually become activists often relieve the trauma in public, and I would use myself as an example. When I started Heal and Chill, I created the platform as a place to share, for us to come and heal together, for us to help each other deal with trauma and everything that we've been through. But it seemed like the more I hear people's story, the more I was relieving, some of the things that I've forgotten. And it actually really took a toll on me. And that's why I've been on and off with Heal and Chill. Honestly, that's why I've been really on and off with it, because I was trying to still, go through my own healing, but at the same time, people's problem were taking me back to where I don't want to be. So how do you actually separate yourself from people's story that will make you relieve those things, and at the same time try to heal yourself or try to focus on healing?
So I definitely have to pace myself sometimes. I would definitely say I'm someone that I can consume my fair share of, triggering content, and I definitely will have moments where I'm like, okay, I need to take a break. This is too much for me. And that's why I ground myself with some of the things I'm interested in. So I write not just about these experiences, but I write, poetry. I write journal pieces. I paint. I DJ.
You make nice t-shirts.
Yes, I DJ, and a bunch of other things, to help keep myself grounded. I'm also into photography. So. Yeah. And one of the most important things, though, is having a community, having, whether it's your family or your friends, because when you are around healthy people, you sometimes even forget that, wow, these are the things that I've been through. So community is so important. And again, I know so many survivors don't have that. That's why I wanted to be one of those people that creates a space.
Okay, let's say beyond awareness, what systematic changes do you think or do you believe in actually needs most urgent attention in protecting women and girls?
Okay, so we already have laws that clearly state that these things are crimes and they're wrong. So I feel like they need to be reinforced. And I think the justice system needs to be revamped a little bit to accommodate for thorough and optimal handling of sexual violence cases. And I think we should also set up a sex offender registry here.
Oh, wow.
That's what I think.
Yeah. So everybody gets to know who's who.
Exactly.
Who did what.
Exactly.
What kind of offense did he commit?
Exactly.
Or did she commit? Anyone. Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, so now many people in this society that we live in are actually very quick to shame women for speaking out. Do you get scared when you speak about these things, about from the backlash?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say I get scared. I know it exists. I've already experienced some of it in little ways in my life. And just when you see, people going at other survivors, you're sitting there like, whoa, but I know it's rooted in people's ignorance and their lack of understanding. when it comes to sexual assault. So consent education, all these things, all this reform needs to happen. The school should have at least, a few times a week where there's a short session where they are schooled on these issues. Exactly.
Right. If you could speak to your younger self, right, before the violence happened, what would you say to little MFA of 5 years old?
So because she's 5, she won't have like a lot of vocabulary by then. So I would have to tell her something that I think she would understand. But I think what I would have loved to be told, or what I needed to hear, is everything will be okay. Even as an adult, sometimes I need, everything will be okay, because sometimes you feel really dysregulated, off balance. You don't feel like yourself. Some of the craziest things can happen, and sometimes all you need is, everything will be okay.
Right.
You're not alone.
So could you read a line or two
from the book?
Yes. So you tell us the title of the book, and a line or two.
A line or two. Okay, so I can.
A page.
Or I can read the poem, because
Okay,
it's such a beautiful poem. Okay, so I'm
title
going.
of the book, Transformation.
So the title of my book is called Transformation, and I detail my experiences as a survivor of sexual violence, and also how I turned my pain into power. So I'm reading a poem titled Transformation, and this poem was actually written by one of my best friends. And it goes, I am not a flower, plucked and crushed. I am an age-old tree whose roots drink of the deep of the earth, and whose leaves tickle the heat of the sun. I dance with the music of the wind, and I spar with the blades of the storm. I am shelter to the traveler, aid to the hungry. Even when I am gone, my essence will remain in the pages of the world and in the belly of the earth.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. All right, so 16 days of activism. What are your final words to anyone that is listening?
To any survivor that's listening, I just want you to know that you did not deserve what you went through, and you shouldn't blame yourself for someone else's non-consensual actions against and towards you. I also want you to know that our society is not perfect. So while you will have supporters, you will also have naysayers. You will have people who will question you and your honesty. There are people who will straight up blame you. And my advice to you is, even though it can be difficult, just ignore them. It's just noise. But know that, once again, you're not alone and you have nothing to be ashamed of.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, we've been speaking to Rachel Emefa Markin, the lady or survivor who turned her pain into power. I hope she inspired you to stop the whole victimization of yourself, and get up and do something with.
I wanted to say something, please. I also want to speak to male survivors of sexual violence. And I want you to know that what happened to you doesn't make you any less of a man. You are whole, you are valued, and your story is important too.
All right. Thank you. I like the fact that you thought of the men too. Very, very important.
Yes.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking to Rachel Emefa Mark, and I really enjoyed talking to you. I hope you're okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We're getting better, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Getting better every day and every day and every day. I mean, your courage has given me power. You understand? Your courage has given me power. And even though you're younger than me, I feel inspired. There's something, I think, and that's the ripple effect that always happens when people come to speak out.
Exactly.
Turn your pain into power. And I hope every survivor listening right now, is inspired by what you have done. Okay?
Thank you.
And to everyone listening out there, healing does not come in a day. It's a step-by-step process. Sometimes you get off the boat, and sometimes you crash, and you just have to go back on and continue that journey to healing. Thank you so much, and see you on the next episode.